Yeah. The saying, we have a saying, "Talatoki Samoa hai talatautung," right? Samoa everything has been allocated, everything has been in its place, and none of us is supposed to change any of that, right? We're supposed to respect it, follow it, right? We might make, and this is something that we say, that's something that we kind of use these days. But there's a lot of things that's supposed to be left alone. Don't touch. There's also saying, if things start broken, why fix it? Because you trying to fix it's gonna make it, you're gonna break it, right?
Post of Polynesia, yeah. Post of Polynesia. We are Pacifica, people of the ocean, people of the sun. We are Pacifica, people of the ocean, people of the sun.
Told you the Samoan guy from Beauman that bought his house, and I said, your son always have a room. He met me the same day. He doesn't know me. He walked up to the door and he looked at me and he said, like I said, put this in your pocket. I know your situation. Next time you go to the shop, make yourself feel like a man again. And I put it in my pocket, didn't know. Until I get home, he gave me 1,800. 1,800. Yeah. Never met me before, don't know me. Because he understood he has been through it, right? And the whole day that I'm sat there with these people, I'm telling them, bro, I'm going to be a big shot. I have big dreams. It's coming for me. And now he said, no, stay here. He said, where are you going to be? Stay here. Stay here for that shit. Stay here for that. He's just telling me this. So I prepared myself. I was going to fly straight from here to go to Australia to the Commonwealth Games. On that day that I was supposed to leave, 6 hours before I go, I haven't packed nothing. 4 hours before I go, I haven't packed nothing. 3 hours, because I leave like 10 minutes from the airport. 3 hours. Until it was like, yeah, the airplane is gone. And I'm just sitting here. I couldn't get myself to leave. And all of those things that I was going to have, all over again for this kid. All over again for it. Because I look at where I am right now. I look at it, like, might be I'm struggling, but my heart is full, like ice cream, guys. And if you guys like you said, you see some of the video here, my heart is full every time with it. And that's nothing that I could ever do or could ever achieve by my own, can ever overtake that. So yes, but that's yeah.
I think that's the one thing that us Samoans understand, that wealth is not materialistic things or being here or there, but wealth is your family. And so that's the most important thing in this world is family. Yeah, especially your children. And so that sacrifice that you make for your kids, you're reminded of the sacrifices that your mom and dad had made for you. And so that goes on. And so the kids will always show their appreciation, may not be now, but later on in life, just like you shared your appreciation for your parents while you were doing your life. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really inspirational.
Appreciate it.
There's a book that I love reading. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if you guys read it. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so
I'll find one.
Yeah, it's such a good book. And so one of the statement that really stands out to me is when he said, "Don't chase the money, let the money chase you." And just looking at your story, just listening to your story, it just puts me in that perspective, because a lot of people think about the money. No, I'm going to get this money. I'm going to do this. And so they lose focus on this. They lose focus because their desire for wanting money. But when you don't chase the money, your mind is open to a lot of things that you start to see the blessing and what God wants you to do, the things that's in front of you that's more important, and what's going to be more longevity than what's behind you. And so that is such a good story that you had mentioned and shared with us. You can't really replace a child. You really can't. And you had mentioned that you wish that your mom had carried your son. And so was there a moment in time when you wanted to take your son home to see your mother? Was it before that or?
Yeah. I guess when I came here, this is a bit this is an emotional part now. When I came to Sweden, like I said before, I was never meant to stay. Right? I was never meant to stay. I was meant to go back because I had so many of us, like my adopted brothers and sisters. They're not from any other. They are my blood and my bones. But when my grandmother was alive, she just made a decision. She just said to everybody, all these kids here, they can choose wherever they want to live. Wherever they want to go, they can choose. But that guy over there, he's the one that's going to stay. Has to stay. After his mom is in to take over my family, yeah. He now the leader of my family. That's 1 whole year after my son was born. And my mom knew that I'm not coming home. We didn't speak for like a whole year. Called up my mom on New Year's Eve to speak to her and wish her a Happy New Year. My mom said to me, "Why you call this? Why you calling? Did you just remember that you have a family now? That you're calling again?" A lot of things that I wanted to say, I couldn't say it. I couldn't say it. It could not come out of my mouth to my mom. So I sat in the kitchen, my in-law's kitchen. I went into his closet, took out the biggest bottle of Jägermeister. Even him, he's a man from like his house finished. He's a man who understands his alcohol and can hold his alcohol. And he was so surprised that I could sit in his kitchen and drink a whole bottle of Jägermeister. That's so disgusting. And just crying my eyes out at the same time, just writing down everything that was flooding my head and flooding myself, my heart, myself. I was writing this massive letter to my mom, like telling her everything, the whole situation. And also one of the Samoan sisters who lived just about 5 minutes away from me, just down here. She was going to Samoa in the month of January. And I was like, I poured all of my emotions and all of my hearts and all of what I see in my son, in this kid that is almost a year old, right? And I pouring everything into this letter. I think it was like 4 or 5 page letter that I sat there, finished the whole bottle. And I asked my son's mom, I want you to sketch our son. So she did a sketch of him, really beautiful artwork. And I put it together and I gave it to the Samoan and said, please, when you take this to my mom, take this letter and take this sketch of my son. So, yeah. My mom read the letter. She looked at her grandson. And I think something broke in her. And it changed everything. Because now she understood, like, all the emotions that her son has, right? And all the things that I could not say to her. And I don't even have the cojones to actually say it to her on the phone. She's reading it in those pieces of paper. And for the first time in like a year and some months, my phone rang and it was my call. And it was to look at my son, talk to my son, and start building a relationship with my son. And so I worked and I tried myself, try my best. I want this kid to call home. I want my mom to hold him, give him a blessing and everything. Yeah, but then 2020, and she decided to go. Now what can we do, right? And it was at that time, Corona was here. So, and this is something I think the biggest influences in my life. I didn't bury them, and I struggled with it for almost 6 years. I didn't bury my dad because I was 2 months in China doing my scholarship, right? So I couldn't go home to bury my dad. Then I came here didn't have a job in 2018. I was just starting living here, trying to figure my stuff out. And then my grandmother passed away. My biggest confidant in life. She passed away. And then 2 years later, in 2020, my mom passed away. Couldn't go bury my grandmother. Couldn't go to bury my mom because of Corona at the time. So I had to struggle myself for 6 years until this year, January, that I finally went home to do my mom's gravestone, my ma, and actually have some closure to myself. Yeah, so it was a really hard time for me that looking at my son, and I keep saying, it's my man, wish my mom would have held him. She would have loved him in a way that I have never been loved by her. We understand that our grandparents, like our parents, will love our kids more than how they loved us, right? But that's their way of making it up to us. It's their first time being parents and our first time being kids. They didn't know what they were doing. We don't know how to be ourselves. And now when they were a bit older, and that's what I wanted, but the opportunity wasn't there anymore. So like, and I say this, and this is like really important for everybody. Mental health is real. It's real. So I cry myself in like most nights I sleep, and I just wake up crying, and I know why. I know why. Sometimes I'm sitting on my sofa and I cry, and all of a sudden my son, like, and I try to hide it so much, like, but my son always senses that his dad is, and then all of a sudden, like, I feel the hand, like, about it, bro, are you okay? But that's the reality talking like my son. Feels it. He has empathy. He knows. Yeah. So me going home this January was the biggest thing that I had to do after 9 years of being away from home. I went home, had some closure to myself, and now coming back, I feel a whole lot better. I'm more energetic. I'm more of like, I'm myself now. I've done it. That was the last thing that needed to be done for my mom.
Yeah.
And when I home, I did. So yeah, and I will say this was like a little bit of an emotional part section here, but yes.
Thank you for being emotional.
Oh,
Yeah, because not very many men are, but thank you. Sharing that part of you shows a lot. And so we can both relate to you. I know now, so I'm speaking for myself, but because my dad was my best friend, we were closer than close. But when he passed away, it was like a couple of years of darkness for me, at least, because I used to talk to him every day. And then when he went, it was just a shock. And when he left, I promised myself that I'll live out my dad's legacy as long as I live, so that way I can make him proud in heaven. So same thing. I'm sure your parents and your grandma above in heaven are so proud of you with all the things that you're doing. Because I promise you, your content has inspired so many people, and the youth have been so inspired by your content. That's why I was like so ecstatic to be on the show. So yeah.
You're right about mental health issue as well. It's a real thing, because growing up, we talked about this so many times. We think that, oh, get over it. It's not something, it's like, you can get over that stuff. Why you even let it get to you? But then you don't realize, like, years and years of it building up, it all of a sudden starts to hit you, and all that strength that you thought you had, all of a sudden you don't know yourself anymore. And I can understand, because they're like, for me, I could relate. I would find myself crying in the car, or if I'm just sitting down and I get lost in my own thoughts. There's a lot of, I wish I could say this to my dad. I wish I could have done this better, or I wish, but I can honestly say, and I tell this to a lot of people, that it was a spiritual awakening for me when I went back home in Samoa this January as well. And I haven't been home in almost 20 years. And a lot of it was, I didn't want to. I chose not to because of the trauma. And a lot of it was, oh, F trauma, I can deal with that. But I didn't realize trauma was actually destroying me inside and making me a parent that I didn't want to be. And so when I went back to Samoa, touching the ground of my ancestors and seeing my ancestral graves, because our families are buried right in front of our home. And the rocks are their tombstones. So to see that, it was such a spiritual awakening for me, that I am like you. Since this January, I have become a different person.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like I'm renewed. Like, it's almost like God had baptized me again. And I needed to feel that. And when I see your content and you're standing up and advocating for not just Samoa, but Tonga and all the different islands and our people and just people in general, because we need to understand that truth needs to be spoken. And it needs, and that was another reason why the podcast is that people are going to come, because I hear people telling me they go back to the old videos and they listen to it. Your content, they can go back to see and know about our culture and see that, because when people come up to you and say, well, what facts do you have? Well, yeah, it's one thing. It's me, who I am, the blood that runs through my vein. Those are the facts. That's the truth, and how our ancestors are passed on the information. But it's nice now that we're going to utilize, like you were being in media, we can utilize the technology that we have now so that it can be instilled for the younger generation. So it's not manipulated by other people.
Exactly.
And so with that said, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that your mom, she was a Taupou. What was your mindset? See, I'm sure she had the malu, right?
No, my mom never had the malu. And it's, I mean,
Was it her choice not to?
no. My family hadn't had, like, it was only this, I wanted to be the first one to break it, but a cousin of mine actually did it this year, and he broke 4 generations of no tattooing in my family, because my grandfather banned it. He banned it because I told you he was a man of, I don't know, I'm gonna show you this, right? Really quickly. And this is my son's mom's artwork, and this is my mom right here. And that's a painting that was done from an actual photograph of my mom, and that was a photograph that was taken in New Caledonia when she was Taupou. So the funny thing about my mom is, if you go into our home, most of my mom's pictures in our home is her in the Taupou attire with an Ifuoki. The Ifuoki is because, and for me to go home this year, right? I go home this year and I look in my house and I see, like, and I look, my grandmother had a painting of her done in the 1950s or 1940s, because she was born in 1921, right? Everything in the 40s or 50s, she had a painting, and my grandmother is sitting there with the fork. And I have all these pictures of my mom surrounding the house with her Taupou attire and her forks. And then in the middle of our house, we have the big photo of my grandfather with another Fuimaono, and she was a woman. Her name was Fuimaono Langi, and my grandfather was Fuimaono Matemati Kavila. She, as a woman, only had a pale fuyomo and her attire, and then she was holding. My grandfather had the full winger, full all thing, and I asked him, wait, I never really asked, what was this photo? And then my family told me, that's when Samoa opened its first palace formal, for the Parliament House, and my grandfather was the one who go along, Costa Langi was the one who did, and that was that. So the Nifuoki and this dancing in my family, and it's specifically because we are who we are, right? And this is something that has kind of blurred and muddied in the Samoan way of life now, is that the sons and daughters of the Pulafalis, of the oracles, have taken over the dress code of the sons and daughters of the island. Now, saule ka malihat ni imala singi Pulafali. Sau faule ikuwinga or kang pomole mga what is the Taupou and the mga going to wear if you are coming here and wear their attire? Your attire as the sons and daughters of your family is Pulafalis. What's your attire? Your attire is what? You wait for your father to pass you the kuku and fui. That's your attire. You're not supposed to wear that, right? That is specific for the sons and daughters of the high chiefs and the kings of Samoa, right? But that's the thing that's been muddied all these days. You see, when you say Taupou, a daughter of a Pulafalis should never go and perform as a Taupou. If you want to go perform, you don't wear nothing like that. You want to wear something on your head, go put on a palifuyomo right over here, and go do this here, right here. No, that's it. Because you are not the main character in this movie. You are never the main character, right? So why I'm saying that, because this is an issue that is going on with Samoa right now. We have.
I don't think it's just an issue, but
yeah,
I think it's they are not educated enough, or not told, or they might know or might not know the difference between the two, especially in the diaspora, because people are just thinking, or the Taupou now, they're saying when they don't even have their names tied to any ali's, and so people here are just like, oh, we'll just let it slide. We're not gonna. It doesn't matter. It's only in Samoa that happens. But I think it's so important for us to teach that to our children, so that way they can understand, because when they go home, especially born and raised here, like in the mainland or New Zealand, or they're going to be so clueless when they go home. And that's why some parents are always saying, oh, yeah, yeah. And so that's why I love the content when you go up on there and you share the history and you share your knowledge. I just love it. It's pretty cool that you're out there. So that way people can learn and through education. And yeah.
So I have to add something to this as well. So just reading a couple of books in regards to the history of our island, right? A lot of the white people that came to, not, I shouldn't say white people, a lot of foreigners that came to our Samoan islands, when they came to the islands, they start to realize that it's so unique that in our own culture, there was such a hierarchy structure that they couldn't find that anywhere else, but they come to Samoa, Hawaii, and so we have the Makai, we have like all the orators, we have like what we do, the kava ceremony. It was for ceremony, not for gathering to sit around and talk stories. It was strictly kind of political, I have to say, in a way. And it wasn't distorted how it is currently right now. And so when you mentioned how you have to be wearing the clothes the way that as it passes down, you can't just put it on like it's nothing. Because there was what was also mentioned in the articles back in the 1900s was that everything as far as the kuinga, the clothing, and the places of where the magai was, the hierarchy part, there was a symbolic reason to all of that. It wasn't just given to you for a reason. Everything was symbolic, from the way that the Taupou did the ceremony with the kava and who was selected as the orator to do the announcement of who was going to get what. And so what is your thoughts on that in comparison to right now?
Yeah. We have a saying, "Talatoki Samoa hai talatauto," right? Samoa, everything has been allocated. Everything has been put in its place. And none of us is supposed to change any of that, right? We're supposed to respect it, follow it, right? We might make, and this is something that we say, sweet fight, that's something that we kind of use these days. But there's a lot of things that are supposed to be left alone. Don't touch it. There's also saying, if things start broken, why fix it? Because you trying to fix it's gonna make it, you're gonna break it, right? Just leave it. That's it. Now, if you look at it, right? If you look at because a lot, the most significant change is now, because we looked at the kuinga and the attire of the Polynesia and the Manaya and the Taupou, right? It also ties back to the and the mud, right? It ties to that. Horse. Nobody else was supposed to wear those things, right? Nobody else. But
It's so sacred.
the kings, the high chiefs, Taupou, and the Manaya, they're the only ones, right? That were supposed. That's what set them apart from every Tom, Dick, and Harry there was, right? The only time, and this is why Malu, this tiny little thing that we call Malu, was always hidden, always Malu, you shelter it. The only time that people will see that come out when we have what we call ta'alolo. When we have a ta'alolo, when another village comes to visit your village and you do this massive gathering on the field and display your wealth of your, that's when the Malu starts to flow. Yeah. And then immediately all the heads turn to whom? Because wait, who are you? Who are you as the Taupou and the Malaya? You are the pinnacle. You are the pinnacle of your hometown. You're the pinnacle of your village. You're the pinnacle of your district, right? Your lineage, your father as the chief, and you as the Taupou, and you as the son, the Somaliki as the Mangaya. And everybody has to dance around there singing your praises. But time changes. Time has changed, right? And we've seen that change across to the modern day.
Yeah. I think I was watching a video. I think it was a well-known tattoo artist, and he had mentioned about how things have changed a lot to where the people have the kaulima, the kauvai, and all these different things. Anyways, I say this because my husband was talking to his father about the Songai Miki for the men, and he said that he just realized that the design have changed a lot. And was it supposed to be one universal design, or
Yeah.
because I am beginning to notice, I'm beginning to notice different designs that I've never seen before.
I mean, right now is that I think trying to put their own signature, right? In this. It's just like an artist that when you're done with your art piece, you always have to sign it. And that's what's going on, right? A lot of them try to use as much of one pattern to say that this is them. Some of them have used this. I've seen this change where there was this now a pattern where it goes straight down from the upper inner thigh down towards the knee, and that looks like a comb. But that was never there before. In most of tattoos, it was never there. But now it's starting to come, and you start to see it a lot. So I think everything is sort of like it's evolving with it. And as much as we want to gatekeep things, we can't. Because at the end of the day, the Tufungos, they are the keepers of art. This is their fight Tufunga, right? And what we can do as a people is to keep on unlocking, keep on voicing our opinions on why we think this and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's theirs. It's specifically theirs. And that's why it's kind of hard. Like if you look at the changes of it, like it changed from just the Taupou and the Manaya, and all of a sudden we started to do this to the men. That we kept it for a long time. The Malu, we kept it for a long time only for the daughters of only for the Taupou. But for the Pia, we started to change it a little bit, and we said we do this like the more you have to now becomes like a rite of passage for the young men. And this is where the saying say that we start to develop that you kamo molo before kalo pa, right? This is where this starts to come about. Because now you cannot sit and serve in the house of the chiefs unless you have told you about, unless your mouth is proficient in the language of the chiefs, right? And then when you've done that, you can't just go in there and just speak. Now you gotta go through the ritual of pain in your body. And these were the only ones that was able to be in there, serve in the house of the chiefs. Was the ones that became the Songai. But time changes. And with that, the pride of us being Samoa, the more we move out, we try to find a way to connect back to our roots. And this is it. And I, for one, will say, do it. I will never tell you, kamo molo nguku ka kingo. Because it's a never-ending process. Today, I'm still kama nguku. I want to kama. Even if I finish kama, I will still kama nguku. It's never-ending process. So it's never saying like, go learn this before you go do your tattoo. Nah, because now it becomes a national. Our PA now is now a national identity, right? It's a national identity. Wherever you are in the world, as soon as you see that the one Bengal Masiki level of Bailunga, and then you automatically, should I run that way or should I run towards this?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, it becomes our national identity now. And I applaud the people. And I see this to a lot of the people, like they feel like, oh yeah, I'm being harassed because I got the and I'm not proficient in the culture. I'm not good in the culture. I'm not proficient in the language. I said, well, nobody could ever tell you nothing about your PA. If you look at Kali the king, you did that. You did. And most of the people that are telling you that you're not good enough, they haven't even gone to have Tao. They haven't even gone under Tao. But why? Malay. They're cowards. So they're only deflecting their own cowardice to you. But I always tell people, man, if you have it on you, I recommend that you try to learn something about your culture, learn something. If you could spend 5-10 minutes on all the naughty websites that you watch on your phone, you can also spend 5-10 minutes to watch people like me and other Samoan content creators like you watch your podcast and learn something about you. The power of technology is in your hands. It's no longer like you have to be present at the Faleaonga to learn Samoan or to be present at the. It's all here in the palm of your hands of the power of technology. And I see it's like with people, Samoan people, and this is what I will tell you: don't ever let nobody tell you that you are not Samoan enough. Blood quantum doesn't define how Samoan you are. You Samoan. Nobody give you. Nobody has the right. You have the blood of the ancestors that have come before you, that have died, that have fought, not only for the titles and the names that you carry, for the lands that your family inherits, and for the freedom that we live with as a people against outside powers that sought to destroy us. So be proud. And that's all I had to say about it. Be proud. Don't let nobody tell you you're not good enough.
Thank you for that, because I think 20 years ago, when things started to evolve with the Malu being more out there and the Soit Miki, I was kind of like, at first I wasn't too happy about it. And it's because to me, I feel like it's so sacred. This is our culture and it's sacred. And so I felt like it lost its sacredness. But when I spoke with my husband, because he's a tattoo artist, and he's like, Arch, you should be proud. You should be proud that they're wanting to get the Malu or the Soai Miki. He goes, that's something that we should be proud about. He goes, times have changed, Crystal. And like, you can't knock on people that are so proud of their heritage and their background. And you're absolutely right. You don't have to be full 100% Samoan. You're Samoan. And so for those that, I have cousins that lived here all their lives that were born and raised in the mainland, and they love being Samoan. Every time I come up to them, they're like, wow, my oil, things like that. They try to speak Samoan to me, and I just start laughing because I think it's funny, but I'm like, I love that you're so in tune with your Samoan side. Exactly. But to see their proudness and their pride being Samoan, I really enjoy, that their parents taught them to be proud of who they are and where they're from. So yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that part about the Somalis and the model.
We can say banana is banana, whether you're a Misiluki or a Faipaka or a Faisamoa, banana is banana, right? Samoa is Samoa. Yeah. Doesn't matter what shape, color you come in with, you Samoa. We should embrace it. We are much better if we embrace each other than we try to put labels and push each other away.
Okay, so I have to ask, because I was always kind of curious to understand why Samoa and Fiji and all the other islands didn't want to keep the monarchy. Or we just didn't have a monarchy, right? Why were we just so different from Tonga, where Tonga still has their king and queen? What was it that I think, was this because Samoa, our Samoan culture, everybody was equal, and we were designated for tribes.
Yeah. There was a meeting between the Tuitonga and Malitoa, where Malitoa told the Tuitonga the absolute truth. When Malitoa back then, when Malitoa went to visit Tuitonga, everybody came to do the ava and everything. When the Tuitonga came to visit Malikoa in Samoa, It's just Malietoa and his servants that was there. And he said, where's your people? Where's your people now? In Samoa, everybody's king in Samoa. But I will tell you, we had our monarchy, right? Like I said, my lineage, the lineage of Tupua, of Fuimaono to Tupua, Olo, the last true king of Samoa that held kingship of all of Samoa was Mafana, King Mafana. And he's the one who gave away the Papa titles of Samoa. He gave the other two to Malietoa, Mainupo, the one who accepted Christianity to Samoa. Now, when this king, he died, he passed away. This was the first time the Satupua family, the royal line of Satupua, became fractured into two. And why he wanted to end the kingship of Samoa. He wanted to end the kingship of Samoa because he said to them, I will be the last person to be king because I don't want no more bloodshed over who should be. So, bloodshed, Samoan blood should never be spilled again. And he said, I will end, the kingship of Samoa shall end with me, but Malietoa Vainupo, you are the one to bury it, to take it to the grave. So he ends it, but Malietoa Vainupo has to end. Remember, in Samoa, right? Tupu Malietoa is king, but he's king of where? King of Tuamasanga, the district of Tuamasanga. Malietoa was still always king, but the king of Tuamasanga. But the kings and the rulership of all of Samoa was in the Tupua line. Exactly. From the beginning of when Salamasina became king, right? Because I hate the word queen. King, Taupou, look Samoa, Taupou. From her all the way down to this last king, Mafana. The kingship and the rulership of Samoa was continued in the line of Salamasina. And it came and it changed to the line of Taupou, the son of Fuimaono, that was adopted by Monarchy. And it stayed in the Tupua family line. Yeah. So that was the reason why we ended our kingship, we ended our rulership. So we did not want no more bloodshed. Now what happened when he died, right? The Satupua line fractured between the Tupua and the Mata society.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And at the same time, Malietoa is there. Malietoa wants to rule. These two wants to rule. Now what happened here, right? This is when the outside powers came in and they want to proclaim Malietoa to be king. And and our side of the family were like, nah, we ain't gonna do that, right? We could go to war. We could fight each other, right? And this is where the legend of Mata Yosefo, one of the greatest heroes of Samoa that we should acknowledge, rose to power, right? That's when we started fighting each other, right? And it's so beautiful if you go back and you look at the different flags of these three guys, right? Pua, the Masisi flag, the Mataasa flag, and the Malietoa flag. We had back in this. So beautiful. I like the colors, the black, red, and white colors of all these flags. That was so beautiful back then. But that was it. Yo, the reason why when you see Samoa kind of drifted towards Malietoa at the time. Because Malietoa, John Williams came to him and it was his father that the prophecy was given by, right? So he felt like, okay, and this kind of strengthened his approach to try to be the ruler of Samoa by saying, I am Malietoa. Mafana gave me two of the Papa title. But in all honesty, Malietoa doesn't need the Papa titles to be king, right? Because he's always king, but he's king of Masana. Papa titles here is different, right? Now, he comes and he goes, and remember, I come to you as a king, and I come to you bringing a new God, a God that comes from the heavens. And this is a God that was prophesied by nothing. So, next minute, you all Christians. But yeah, but that's where, like I said, at this, maybe I will go into later on to about this guy Mataapa. This is a massive hero for me. But yeah, that's the beginning of why we stepped away from having a kingship. Tonga, on the other side, they kept their monarchy because Josi Taupou the first had a plan to continue the royal line. And why people always say, "Oh yeah, but you guys were colonized, right?" I can go in all on this stuff about the colonization of Samoa because it was illegal. You guys were colonized. Tonga was never colonized. Fiji was never colonized. There was nothing in Tonga for them to want, right?
Right.
It's just that. What did they want to get from? What resources did Samoa have? What resources did Fiji have? Fiji had what? Sugar cane. That's what they wanted from Fiji. That's why they went to Fiji. What did Samoa have? The hottest commodity in the world at the time was what? Coconut oil and chocolate. Coconut oil and chocolate. And what did Samoa have plenty of? Chocolate and coconut oil, right? That's why they wanted Samoa. We had something to that these guys want. But even the taking over of Samoa was illegal. Or maybe I'll get into that later on. But yeah.
I know what you're talking about with it was taking over the land was illegal because they had signed a treaty to protect that during the time with the three powers of Germany and US and I believe Great Britain. But I just say like that's how smart our people were to preserve our own land from being taken over. Yeah. But,
especially Kukuila when they had the deed of cession for the 1900s, they knew what they were doing. They knew that they wanted to protect the land and the culture from the American government from taking over. Because could you imagine if we had deemed an actual territory of the United States, they would have all rights to the land. So the Matais really knew what they were doing during that time because they wanted to protect our people and our lands and our culture. What the word, when you say upu, what about masiofo? What do you think about the word masiofo?
Masiofo is a word that was later on coined. Samoa upu. Now look at it. Now, in English, we say Queen Salamasina. Now, go to the Samoan language. What do you address Salamasina? Do you address her Masiofo Salamasina? As this is the translation of Queen, is Masiofo. Do you address Salamasina as Queen Salamasina? Or as Masiofo? No. You address her as Kupu. Or Kupu Kafaifa. And that's why it's so beautiful about us Samoans, right? We are not only a patriarchal society. We are both patriarchal and matriarchal society. And you get to pick and choose whatever you want, right? If you look at your father, your patriarchal side, I'm like, nah, not good enough. And you look at your mother's side and your matriarchal side, oh, yes, that's the one for me. I'll be up there. You take it. That's it about us. That's the thing about us, these all these sexism and all these boxes that we put there, women over here, men over there. Nah, we weren't like that. We understood what we were, and like I said, we like even if of course we're going away from this, but maybe I'll touch back on this guy Mata Afa Yosepo because I really want our people, the young people, to go and learn about him.
Yeah, it's being that you're in Sweden and you. A lot of people like to learn about our culture because it's unique, especially coming from a different place. What is something about Samoa that you like to share with others as far as history, culture, or what is your favorite thing to talk about?
I like to mess around with people. I say, hey, don't mess with me. We used to eat people, so be careful. How about that?
That is true.
That's so true. I know.
Yeah, I mess around with them, and they're like, "No, you charge it." Never know. They can, already cook you and eat you and everything. But I'm like, I try to break down walls in that way. Like I use like laughter and comedy to break down people's walls, because I know like if I can make them laugh, then it's going to be a much better conversation. But before I even speak about Samoa, right? Me standing there, the way it goes back to the basics. Ang sumali lang kulang kapal emulates all of that. The Samoan aura. I stand there and everybody like, doesn't matter how many people that's in the room, and I tell this, and I just stand there. I know people is looking at me. They see me the way I walk, the way I do things, and even when I speak, they see it, and it comes with mana, right? And it's mana, and I'm not saying that because it was me. No, this is all that energy that from those who came before me. With me, and I carry it with me. I carry it with me wherever I go. So before I even speak about me being Samoan, people's already making up their mind, guessing. Hawaii, I'm Maori, you know. And then when they come to me and they said, "Oh, where are you from?" Then I'm Samoan. Oh, I'm Samoan. Oh, and then most of the time they were, "Oh, I'm Samoan." I'm like, no, you know, Rob. Yeah. You don't think that?
True.
Yeah, like, you know, to the, I mean, but for me is I always when we get down to conversation, I always say that we as Samoans we are a very culturalistic people, that we love our culture and we are very prideful of being Samoan, that it takes over us like that. Whenever anything that has to do with the country, it's automatic, and shows what, like, just to carry that with you, and just by mentioning the name of our country to people, and I say, and they say, "Oh, but what's something about your culture that is unique?" Then I can go into details about our culture, tell them a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but that's Samoans, you know, like I said, even if you walk in a room now, that's all. You walk in a room, everybody's going to look and say, that lady with the flower, like flower in her hair, flower on her ear. Like, people's already making up, like, trying to make up stories in their head. Oh, she looks different. Like, why is she like, she must be somewhere, she must be amazed with some. But the way we carry ourselves, like even our women, we carry ourselves with like, to be Samoan, you carry yourself with elegance, right? That's why we say, "Kausisilo mamalu." So important that we teach our female daughters, and the female people in our lives. "Kausilo kamari ang, kausilo mamalu." Oyo, my Samoan, you are Samoan woman. That when you go places, you should be there, and people should look at you, and you're just sitting there, and you're just an example of not doing anything at all, and you just sit there, and everybody just like looking at you as an example of what they want to be. Why? Because that's you're a Samoan. You were raised well in a Samoan household. Yeah, but unfortunately, yeah, mấy gì vui đến là cũng vui. And then when you're like, oh, so the PC like think about the PC like go, you know, but that's what, like, for me, that's it. And I love to speak with everybody about anything about Samoa.
I know you were talking to circling back really quick. I know you wanted a
Boom, 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 earth shake, silent fever, wave riders, lava rivers, no this.